The Occupy Wall Street protests continue across the US, including an 11-mile neighborhood march in New York Monday. In the meantime, police are continuing to crack down on protesters after violent clashes and arrests over the weekend. Let's get some first-hand views on this now and talk to Timothy Frawls. He joins us on the line from New York. Timothy, very good evening to you. Thanks for being with us. I mean, as an activist yourself, I hear, what exactly are you trying to achieve? Paint the picture for us.
Me personally, I would like to see a more open government in the United States, opening the political system up to the millions of Americans who go unrepresented by the Democratic and Republican parties. You know, there are millions upon millions of independents and third-party supporters in the United States, and quite frankly, they are often ignored by leaders in Washington and in state government.
But you're kind of being ignored now, aren't you? I mean, the US government seems to be avoiding dialogue with you and the rest of the protesters as well. Don't you find that a bit disheartening?
No, I think that's probably, I think that was to be expected. It's par for the course. Although at the same time, you know, the Occupy Wall Street protests are already changing the political dialogue in the country. Republicans are talking about social inequality. Democrats are talking about corporate personhood, and these are important issues to a lot of people down at the protests in the financial district.
As these protests go on, is there any sign that they're losing steam at all?
I don't think so. They seem to be gaining steam. I go down to Liberty Plaza on a regular basis, and you can find, there's 1,000 people milling about at any given time, at any time of the day. People are always there, and it's kind of become the base for a lot of political organizing that's going on all over New York City. And as you know, it's also spread around the country and around the world as well.
As we talk tonight, that second Iraq War veterans in hospital, Kayvan Sebegi. After that altercation with police in Oakland last Thursday, he told reporters he was beaten by police batons. Why do you think the US authorities are dealing with largely peaceful protesters in this way?
I think it has to do a lot with the militarization of police. Which was really ramped up in the aftermath of September 11th. If you notice, when there has been violence, it's when there are dozens upon dozens of riot police in full gear. It's almost like the police come in looking for a fight, and with that kind of an attitude, you're going to get one. There has been use of excessive force by police in New York City, but as we've seen, New York's, in comparison with police elsewhere around the country, for instance in Oakland, it's depending on what community you're in, there's going to be a different police response because of the different cultures in those police departments. But police brutality is a big problem in the United States, and the Wall Street protests are showing that, that's one issue that a lot of people are organizing around. I observed a march 2 weeks ago in Harlem that was against the New York Police Department's policy of what they call stop and frisk, which is they just stop people on the street and frisk them for some suspicion of wrongdoing. But 90% of the people who are stopped and frisked, and there's hundreds of thousands of them every year, they go free. They're not even issued citations.
Timothy, I know you're saying you're making headway, you're raising awareness, crucially, but I guess there's a difference between raising awareness and actually making concrete changes. I mean, does a movement like yours, the one you're participating in, really have any real prospect of changing the course of politics in the US? I'm thinking, of course, bearing in mind those presidential elections coming up next year.
I think it does, and I think it can. This movement already is making change happen in this country, and we can have real effect. The fact that it's that the protests have spread all over the country bodes well for local grassroots political organizing from the bottom up. You know, a lot of people, you know, obviously the presidential election is going to be on the minds of most people, but you know, you have to remember that this year, today, I think tomorrow, and next year, you know, there are going to be elections for local, city, county, state, and federal government all over the country. And compared with all of those elected officials, the presidency, you know, doesn't have, you know, like can't really compare with, you know, with the importance of local politics.
Timothy, very briefly, do you see yourself...
That's where a movement like this can have its real effect.
I get you. I mean, do you see yourself, very briefly, participating in these protests if they're going on in 6 months' time, a year's time?
Yes. I think people. I saw a report that that there are plans being introduced to the General Assembly down at Occupy Wall Street that have you know, they're planning for years and years into the future.
Timothy Frawls, New York.
I think there was one proposal I saw.
Carry on, just briefly. Yep.
Yeah, I saw one proposal that, you know, there are proposals that have plans for organizing plans that extend to 2014 and 2016. I even saw one that went all the way to 2024.
Okay, thank you for your thoughts on the programme. Timothy Frawls in New York there, appreciated.